Hello and welcome back. As I've made my journey through this game, I've experienced many firsts, some of which are sadly lost to time because they happened before the creation of this series. What series, you may ask? Well, I'm documenting my journey to get a skill to 99, finish every quest, and to defeat every boss in the game, because I never got the chance to as a kid. Some of these goals recently got more out of reach, with the release of the Grandmaster quest, Blood Moon Rises. And because the story of the Myarchy and the vampires has been my favorite up to this point, I was excited to give it a shot. But unfortunately for me, I didn't meet the skill or quest requirements needed to start the quest. And since I wouldn't say I'm exactly ready for a run through the Theater of Blood, I figured I might as well get the fletching levels I need, not only for the quest, but for also more future equipment. So I decided to head to one of RuneScape's newest continents, Varlamore. Where in the Redwood Forest of the Auburn Valley is the Veiled Totems mini-quest. This mini-quest serves as a tutorial for the Veiled Totems minigame. You basically go around the forest, where you build totems for the Ents that wander the valley. Using a log, you carve the images of nearby spirit animals and decorate them with bows and shields that grant you fletching XP. What I didn't know is that when you're doing this, you should already have the bows and shields ready in a 4:1 ratio to their log type. And at this point, I only had the 2400 U logs, but no bows, so I had to get to work. Fletching bows, stringing them, collecting more logs, and fletching more bows, and stringing all of the bows. And in the end, finishing with 580 totems worth. So over the next 2 days, and a total of about 6 hours, I finished my last totem and went from 67 fletching to level 80, and getting just over 41,000 offerings, which is just over 400 rewards. After opening them, I got 3 of the 4 unique items, including a double fletching knife, $72 Ent branches, a lot of seeds, bird's nests, and arrowheads, as well as other things needed for future fletching, with the total value of everything being around 2 million GP. A very successful mission, I'd say. Next, we take a leap back in time to the first episode for something else I did for the first time, an elite clue scroll. In the first fight I had against Obor in the first episode, in the chat box you can see the final steps of this clue scroll. I actually had this clue scroll saved up for months with no idea how I got it or where I got it, and choosing to wait until I think I have a chance at completing it. And thanks to the clue scroll plugin, steps like riddles and puzzles become trivial. My first step was simple enough: craft a nature rune. So I head to Shiloh village, grab my Hat of the Eye and an inventory full of essence, and entered the nature altar just north of the village walls to complete the first step. I returned to Sherlock near Sears Village and got my second clue, killing a dust devil. So I went and geared up and traveled to the catacombs of Korend, and very quickly did just that. I again returned to Sherlock near Sears Village for my next clue. This one was a set of coordinates, which again thanks to the plugin I don't have to try and line up with a sextant. These coordinates are on Mostly Harmless, at the end of the cave full of cave horrors, and so again, I gear up and head over to Mostly Harmless. And while running through the cave horrors, I thought this would be like any other similar clue that I've done in the past. You dig in the spot, a wizard spawns and attacks you, you kill it, you dig again, and you receive your next clue. But in what I can only chalk up to inexperience, I arrive and dig at the spot, and one of the guards the plugin warned of appears. The only problem being that it was an Aviancy, which I can't hit with my melee weapon because it's flying too high in the air to hit. Oh, and I brought no magic or range gear. So I returned to a bank, grabbed some range gear, ran through the cave again, and dug. Only this time, annoyingly, a Bandosian guard shows up, which I can melee. And after a very valiant fight from him, I was able to dig again and receive my next clue scroll. This one had more coordinates, for an island just off Port Phasmatis. So again, I banked and grabbed what I needed to complete the step, only to have to re-bank everything, because I didn't have any Ecto tokens, and I needed 25 to be able to board the boat to the island. So I grabbed some dragon bones and trade them to Robin Hood, who gives me buckets of slime and the ground up bones that I can use to worship the Ectofunctus, and can receive Ecto tokens from the Ghost Disciples after doing so. I take my 65 tokens, re-gear, and sail off to the island, where I fight off another Bandosian guard and receive my next clue. And all it said was, "in a while," which simply enough was just to kill a crocodile. So I went to Polnivnich and ran south to the closest crocodile spawn I knew, and quickly killed one for the next step, which was digging near the Dagonoth King's entrance ladder. Now normally this includes running through a pretty long dungeon full of enemies and a few safe spots, but luckily for me, my agility level is just high enough that I can skip 90% of it with a sip of agility potion. And after quickly reaching the end of the dungeon, I dig for the next clue. This time I had to go to Trollweiss Mountain, wearing blue dragon hide vambraces, a dragon spear, and a rune plate skirt. This is where if I had done this scroll sooner, I wouldn't have been able to complete this step, as I hadn't completed Troll Romance, a quest where you get the sled necessary to access this part of the mountain. But also the quest took like 10 minutes, so it probably wasn't a major obstacle either way. So after sledding down the mountain, I make my way to the spot wearing what I needed and doing the emote. And finally, I received my first elite clue scroll casket. And then I debated whether or not I should open it immediately or wait until I can gather more, ultimately choosing to wait to open it. Next, I went back to the desert and did some pyramid plunder, my goal being to find the Pharaoh's scepter, so that I can build an occult altar in the future. I recorded a few hours of footage in case it happened, but nothing. And then, very unexpectedly, I got the scepter. Unluckily, it happened when I thought I was recording, but wasn't. So I quickly started recording, picked up the scepter, and put it on. I was actually super excited about getting this, especially after I saw the 6 million GP price tag on it. And now, for our last stop of the video, we head east and cross the River Salve into the dark land of Mauritania. Just outside the walls of Darkmire and Castle Drakon are the tombs of 6 warriors, collectively known as the Barrows brothers. These 6 brothers struck a deal with a mysterious stranger in exchange for powerful armor, which in return would cost them their lives. In a boss encounter that is 1 part minigame and 1 part grave robbing, we break into the crypts and defeat the spirits of the brothers, who are guarding their coffins, so that we may open the rewards chest that gives us a chance to receive the same armor that doomed the brothers. Each of the brothers' armor has a unique effect when wearing the full set, so let's meet the 6 brothers and their gear. First, we have Darok the Wretched. His armor set increases damage based on remaining health, so the lower your health is, the harder you'll hit. He, like nearly all of his brothers, is weak to magical attacks, and can have his damage negated entirely by prayer. Next is Aram the Blighted, the mage among the brothers. His robe set gives the chance to reduce your opponent's strength level by 5, which, to be completely honest, is probably mostly useless. He is the least susceptible to magical attacks, as that is his combat style and has protection against it with his robes. But despite that, he can still be beat with all 3 combat styles. His damage can also be blocked completely with prayer. After him is Carol the Tainted. He's the archer of the group. His set gives a chance to lower your opponent's agility level by 20%, which, like Aram before him, is probably completely useless outside of some extremely niche situations. And like the rest of his brothers, is weak to magic, and his attack can also be negated with prayer. Next, we have the goal of today's video, Guthan the Infested. His armor adds a random chance to heal for the amount of damage done with the Warspear, giving free healing and overhealth. He is also weak to magic, and can also be defended against with prayer. The 5th brother is Torag the Corrupted. When landing a successful attack in his armor set, it gives a 25% chance to lower run energy. Alright? He's also weak to magic and can be protected against with prayer. You get the point. And last, but certainly not least, we have Varak the Defiled. His armor set is actually a little interesting, as it gives a 25% chance to completely ignore defense, armor, and prayer, and still land a hit. So while he is also weak to magic, he can't fully be defended against, as he can and will hit through protection prayers, and can do a lot of damage if he lands consecutive hits. Now, why is Guthan the primary target here? Well, I found all but one piece of his set, needing only his Warspear to complete it, and I think his set bonus would help me at another boss that I've been wanting to do some more of. And while the trading price of the sphere is extremely cheap, I'm gonna make a choice I may end up regretting and try to get one while also trying to get any other full sets. And now I'm here just outside the Barrows with my usual magic setup. I'm bringing 100 house teleport tablets so I can restore my stats and quickly teleport back, as well as an empty rune pouch to store the runes that I get as rewards. I brought the Gommel's Hilt 2, which will stop the prayer draining effect of the Barrows. 2 magic potions to try to squeeze out a little more DPS, a bunch of blood runes to cast Wind Wave, and just some extra food I had in case of emergencies. For this first run, I'll explain how I go about it, as that's basically what I'll be doing for several hours. I start with Darok, cause him to appear, turn on my prayer, and fight him until he goes down. Climb back up the stairs and do the same with Aram and Carol. When I reach Guthan, his coffin holds the tunnels that contain the rewards chest. These tunnels will change location with every new run of the Barrows. I leave it and return to the other 2 brothers and come back after they've been defeated. Now in this second section, the goal is to find the correct doors that lead you to the middle of the room where the chest is. Along the way are rooms of enemies like spiders, rats, and skeletons that will increase your rewards potential based on their combat levels, as well as the combined levels of the brothers. I always aim for 2 skeletons and a bloodworm, since I find them easy to find as they'll often appear next to you when you open a door. This gives me a consistent 86% on my rewards potential. And after finding and beating the last brother, I open the chest to receive my rewards. I return home, restore my stats, and teleport right back for another go. And so for the next 3 hours, I camped at Barrows, with each full run taking about 6 to 7 minutes depending on how much attention I paid. My first few chests had nothing other than the usual runes and coins, until the 5th chest that gave me another one of those fancy elite clues from earlier. So maybe this is where I got the first one from. With 200 KC approaching, I thought maybe I'd get lucky on the 200th one. But just before I got there, I got this drop. Darok's Great Axe, my first piece of Darok's armor set. With 1 drop already and only an hour in, I hope that this was a sign of good luck. One cool thing about Barrows is that it's a pretty unique spot where you see people in all stages of the game. From low-level grinders doing it in absolute minimum gear, to people speedrunning it with high-level gear, like this guy, who I saw running through the brothers like nothing, with an Eye of Iak, which I happen to think looks like an extremely cool weapon. After the 209th chest, I bank and reload some of my house tablets I accidentally used, as well as grabbing my dragon dagger to try and speed up my kills on Aram a bit, and this is how the first attacks with it went. A few chests after this, I got this drop. Darok's Plate Body, for my second Darok's piece in a row. My last chest of the day was 220, having done 35 runs and gotten 2 armor pieces. The next day I came back and got straight into it. And the first chest of the day was absolutely massive, and gave me all the motivation I needed for that day's grind. A chest valued at a whopping 25,000 GP. One of the worst chests I've pulled since I started doing this, but definitely not the worst I've ever seen, but more on that later. After some back-to-back dud chests, I managed to pull this item on chest 230. Another Aram's Hood, which at this point was the 2nd or 3rd time that I pulled this, but just based on how bad the last 9 chests have been, I'll gladly take. 5 chests later on 235, I got another drop. This time it was another Torag helmet, my 2nd. I ended up having to cut this session short as there would be a game update happening soon, so I was on the clock, and on top of it, it was close to being 2 AM, so I got a couple more chests before calling it a night. But not before I could get another bad chest, more on that later. But also, chest 241 immediately after that was another drop, another Torag chest piece. On the next day, I changed up some gear to try and increase the damage of my dagger by using dragon boots and a berserker ring for more damage. And like the day before, I got an absolute doozy of a first chest on 243. More on that later. At chest 250 was more nothing so far. I was here for so long my hood broke, without me remembering to fix it for a whole nother run where I took a lot of damage in the tunnels. So after opening the chest, I went home and fixed it. On chest 263, 2 hours into this session, I still have not received a single piece of armor, which isn't horrible, but is a tad bit concerning. And then finally on chest 267, I get another drop. Carol's leather top, my second. Then nothing at chest 270, nothing at 280, and nothing at 285, which is 100 from where I started. And then after chest 289, I call it a day, after being at it for almost 4.5 hours and only getting one armor drop. The next time I got a quick session in for chest 290, and while it was a good chest, it had no armor piece.
Alright, so this is going to be chest 299 once I finish with Torag here. It is 3 a.m., so I'm not trying to be super loud to wake anyone up. But hopefully I get the spear here. Or something. Okay. Here's chest 299, and if there's nothing, I'll come back with chest 300. Okay, this is gonna be chest 300. As soon as I get done with Torag again. It is. Hopefully we get it. And it's more nothing. Great. That's fantastic.
And well, that's it for now. 115 KC later, and I still haven't completed any other sets or gotten the spear I came here for. But while it may be the end here, I will keep grinding. But after nearly 60 chests with only one piece, I had to take a break. Now this is usually the part where I go home at the end of the video. But since all I've done through this process is go home, I've made a small compilation of the worst chest I got during my grind. Hope you enjoyed, and thank you for watching if you made it this far, and have a good one. This video took a little longer to make, both because of the stuff I did in this video took longer than what I've done in my previous videos, and also because I had a stupid bug bite on my eyelid that got really swollen and infected for like a week, so I couldn't really do anything because I had one eye. Alright, thanks again for watching.